Darling, you send me. I know you send me.
Hi guys, what's up? It's Lavanya and welcome to my channel. So today in this video I am going to be sharing with you guys some tips for examination, especially for board students, because they are just around the corner and you guys have been requesting a video for board students for such a long time. So finally today I'm going to be doing it for you guys. Even the students who are not having boards this year, they can also use these tips because it's for in general. And at last I'm also going to be telling guys some tips subject wise. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do today in this video. Please make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already did, and make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'll link it down below, and without further ado, let's get started with today's video. So the last video that I made for board students, I asked you guys to complete your syllabus by October or November at most. So by now I'm expecting that everybody's syllabus is completely over and you started with your revision, and by this time because we've already entered January, you should be done with revision at least one time. So now whatever time is left, whatever the number of days are left, solve one question paper every single day. Every day do one question paper at least. If you're able to do two every day, then that's great, but that's going to be a little hectic. So I just did one question paper every day. Make sure to solve all the question papers from the last 3 to 4 years at least, because many questions are repeated. So yeah, it's very important. Also make sure to time yourself, set up an alarm for 3 hours, and make sure to not exceed the time limit. That way you're also gonna get an idea of time management, how you have to do it the same in examination. And also make sure to give yourself 15 minutes before starting the paper to read the question paper, because we get 15 minutes reading time. Okay, so always maintain good speed so that at last you're always left with at least 10 minutes for revision, because that's super important. It has happened with me. After revision I discover some of my mistakes, and yeah, the same can happen with you as well. So yeah, please make sure to leave some time for revision, because that is so important. Okay, now I'm gonna quickly tell you how to read the question paper. This is a good way, one of my teachers in my previous school told me. So start off by quickly going through the question paper once, whether you're understanding the questions or not. Just go through it one time without stopping, so that you kind of familiarize yourself with the question paper. Now it's time for the second reading. So this time go slowly and read the question and try to recall the answer, then move to the next question, again try to recall the answer. By doing this, you know which questions are straight from the book that you are super well prepared with, and you'll also get to know questions that you're not so confident with. You'll know which questions you don't know in case. And also make sure to read the whole line of the question, because it happens with me that this thing is asked in the question and I write completely something different. And sometimes it also happens that it's asking two different things and you just answer one of those. For example, describe this phenomenon and also give examples. So I just describe it and I don't give the example, so I lose marks over there. And if after reading the question paper 2 times, if you are still having some time left, then again go and do the third reading of the question paper. And by the time these 15 minutes are going to be over, you'll be completely thorough with the question paper. You'll not miss anything. And yeah, okay, the next tip that I would give you guys is to improve your way of presentation, because the examiner is having a bundle of copies that he or she has to check. So what is gonna make your answer sheet stand out from all the others is your way of presentation, because everybody's answers are same. The examiner is bored reading the same answers again and again and again. So what you can do to gain extra marks sometimes is to improve your way of presentation. So what I would suggest you guys is to underline all the keywords of your answers. If there are some words in your answer that you want the examiner to pay special attention on, some words that you might want to emphasize, then make sure to underline those words. Another thing you can do is answer your questions in points instead of paragraph. This is for science and social science, because in Hindi and English obviously you have to write in paragraphs, but for other subjects you can try to write your answers in points, because it really simplifies the answer and it's really easy for the examiner to check. Apart from that, you can also make usage of flowcharts and diagrams. If you have some extra time, then make sure to draw some diagrams even if it's like not asked in the questions. And you can also use flowcharts because it makes so much easier for the examiner to understand, so that everything is super clear. And yeah, that just gives a good impression on the examiner. You can also switch the order of sections because your question paper is like divided into like section A, section B, section C and all that. So what you can do is like do section D first and C, like change the order of the sections according to your convenience, but don't like change the order of the questions within the section because that's just gonna make it confusing for the examiner. So don't like change the order of the questions. And always make your answer sheet super duper neat and clean, because if it's like cluttered up, you like cut so many words, you know, the examiner is just gonna get fed up and not even read your answers, and you may lose your marks, which you don't want obviously. So the thing that you can do is to write neatly. Next step is to always write to the point answers, because the examiner knows all the answers already. He'll know if you are like making it up. He'll understand that you don't know the question and you're just trying to like write something and just get marks. So there's no point in doing that. Write on point answers, and no need to write anything that's like not asked and like waste your time simply and like write extra information, because that is not going to get you extra marks. So it's better to always write to the point answers.
The sunburst flowers calling on warm days overdue.
So yeah, those were just some general tips for like board students and for all the students like in general. So yeah, that was that. Now I'm gonna move on to some subject wise tips as well. Alright, so I'm gonna start off with the most dreaded subject. It's maths. So yeah, let's start with maths first. So a thing that I used to do was I always used to start my question paper from section D, because our question paper is like divided into 4 parts. Like section A has the 1 mark question, section B has a 2 mark question, section C has 3 mark questions, and section D has 4 mark questions. So what happens with many children is that like they spend too much time in like section A and B with 1 and 2 mark questions, and then they're not left with enough time for doing the other 2 sections that carry 3 and 4 marks. The worst part is that you know a question and you are just not able to do it because of the lack of time, and you don't want that to happen to you. I used to start from section D, then section C, then B, and then on to A. Always leave time for revision in maths paper as well, because it happened with me that like in the final board paper I made a mistake, and then I discovered that while I was rechecking, and I was just so glad, because if I hadn't rechecked I would have lost marks in that question. And also make sure to practice your trigonometric identities, because there's this exercise in the NCERT book completely filled with questions from the like trigonometric identities. So one of these questions is like gonna be asked, like 90% chances. If in some question you are like having a very complicated like calculation, then no need to waste time in doing that. Just move on to the next question and then come back to it later on, because you don't want to miss the next question. If you're not getting the exact answer, you can just leave your answer in approx instead of like wasting time. Another thing in maths paper is to always draw the figures that are given in the question paper in your answer sheet as well. So yeah, that's all for maths, I guess I covered everything. So now let's move on to the second subject, that is science. I would suggest you guys to write your answer in points again for the purpose of simplification for the examiner. Now science is a subject where you should definitely use diagrams and flowcharts. If you are having time, make sure to draw the diagram. Even if it's like not asked in the question, still make sure to draw the diagram. If possible, try to explain you know, the answers in the form of flowcharts. What else? In biology, yeah, make sure to like practice that monohybrid and dihybrid course really well, and that chapter with the 4 systems. What was that? I don't remember exactly. Like there was digestive system in that, there was respiratory system, there was circulatory system and excretory system. So yeah, diagrams of all these 4 systems, learn them properly. Then in physics, make sure to solve all the numericals that are given in the NCERT, because many a times the same questions from the NCERT are given in the question paper. Make sure that you've solved every single numerical that are given at the back of each chapter in physics. Yeah, and also make sure to learn all the ray diagrams really thoroughly. For me personally, it was really difficult to learn all the ray diagrams. It was super confusing, but make sure that you are thoroughly prepared with those as well. I think the only thing that can help you learn them is practice. So yeah, practice drawing those ray diagrams of the light chapter. In your electricity chapter, do all the numericals, because definitely one numerical is going to be asked from that chapter. So I guess that's it for physics. That's all you need to do. So yeah, that's all in science. Now moving on to social science. Now the most important tip in social science specifically is to write every single answer of your in points, no matter what. If it's a 3-mark question, then write 3 solid points. If it is a 5-mark question, then write 5 solid points. So all the questions that you are preparing in social science, say for example civil disobedience movement, then prepare 5 solid points for it. Then when that question is going to come in 5 marks, then write those 5 solid points, and those 5 marks you've got, nobody can take those away from you. If by chance I wrote any answer in paragraph form, I lost marks there. It has happened with me. But when I wrote the same content in points, I got full marks in that. So that's kind of weird, but it's true. So yeah, 1 mark for each point you're going to be getting, and that's just going to get you full marks. And yeah, and then when there's time left in the end, always underline the important keywords. Now moving on to English. Okay, let's start with the novel first. It's like either the Helen Keller novel or the Anne Frank novel, so whichever you have. So make sure to remember all the important events that are in the novel. This is going to be a 10-mark question, so you can imagine how much you have to write for 10 marks. So you should have enough content to write a 10-mark question. So yeah, learn those important events really thoroughly for the novel. Another thing in English that's going to get you extra marks is using extensive vocabulary, because it's like English paper after all. They're checking your English skills. So in all the writing questions, the long ones like article and all, make sure to use some new words. You can look up some new words like on Google. You're gonna get tons of them. Learn some of them, go ahead and use them, because that's just gonna make the examiner feel like, oh, this person has a good English. Now, as I told you in earlier ones, to always write in points, it's like exactly opposite in English. Never write your answers in points in English. It's always write your answer in paragraphs. In writing questions, you can also make use of some quotes and all. You can search them on the internet. And lastly, moving on to Hindi. I think it's pretty much the same as English. Again, write all the answers in paragraphs. Use some new like Hindi words, some like difficult Hindi words. I did that as well. Try to score full marks in grammar. As far as I remember, I think it was like 15 marks for grammar. So it's exactly like maths. Grammar is exactly like maths. Then your Rus thing is coming. So yeah, learn an example of each kind of Rus. And yeah, it's pretty much the same as English. So that's all that was there in Hindi. So that is all for this video, guys. I guess I covered all the subjects and gave you some general idea about how you can do it. Really hope you guys do well in your examinations, and I hope that you all are already done with all the syllabus and your revision. So now just keep on doing some extra revision and solving question papers. If you found these tips helpful, then please make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel, and also make sure to follow me on Instagram. That's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, and all the best for exams.
Call it spring, like everything is new. The sunburst flowers calling on warm days overdue.